making sure.
Okay.
Are we ready? Are we ready?
We are?
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
We're recording.
First of all, I want to thank you for meeting with us. I know your schedule is hectic and it's a busy time of the year, and I do appreciate you working with us. My intent today, and just just for open records and just to be kind of transparent, is I really to get DCS's side. We always try to get two sides, and
Right.
And just to get the side about the complaints of the employees and what happened with Clay Crook and kind of anything else you guys want to address, And but we're going to start first with the allegations, and I will call them allegations from the employees about the hostile work environment. Before, and I'm sure you've read the newspaper articles that we've written, before the articles come out, were you or did you get wind of any complaints of any hostility?
Well, we've got almost 5,000 employees, so,
Right.
we get complaints, but no one in person addressed it with me. And we had just had COA there, Council on Accreditation this year. They passed with flying colors, one of our regions that passed. We've passed 12 and we've got 3 to go. The youth developmental centers have not passed yet, so that we'll be fully accredited, first in the nation when that happens. And they do a pretty extensive survey they talk to a lot of people. None of that was brought to our attention in the exit interview that we did with the Southwest region. So I had heard some of the things that had happened there, but it had not been of the magnitude that we had decided to take a look at it.
Okay. So why do you think, from your experience with the department, why do you think that the employees are starting to say this stuff?
Well, I don't know that they are. I mean, on a massive scale, and we're gonna look into that. We've talked about it this morning. We're gonna take a look at that and see if it's, if there's a lot of disgruntlement, or if there's a few disgruntlement. But even if there's a few, we need to see if there's a place. There's some strong personalities in that region. And, they're under pressure-packed positions, and, when you're dealing, as you know, with taking kids in and putting them out of home, it's a very difficult situation.
It's already a stressful environment, isn't it?
It's a stressful environment, and if everyone isn't very sensitive to each other's feelings, you can get crossways real easy. And if that's beginning to happen, or if that has happened down there, we're gonna do everything we can to solve that problem, kind of move forward. And it's really up to the leadership there to do that. I mean, the leadership is in the position to create the environment. The employees there, are junior to the leaders, and the leaders need to take, if there's peace needs to be made, or if there is a problem, they need to take the initiative to go and find out what the problems are and try to solve them, if you're gonna have the kind of region that we want. There's been a lot of turnover there,
Right.
in the last, I think they've had 3 or 4 directors there, and since Mildred Lawhorn left.
Right.
Because
they had Sue and Trista, they had a few of them, within a short time span.
Yeah, and that probably needs to be looked into also when we go down there.
So, and you're right, not only in the massive scale of how many caseworkers you have in the state, we talk to just a handful, and usually it's the disgruntled ones.
Yeah.
And so I know that we have spoken to 4 who said that they filed complaints on Ms. Harrison. And that's certainly not a large percentage of the department. And a lot of that is because of confidentiality. They're not, going to speak.
But we just passed a law that allows them to confidentially report. We took the initiative this year as part of our safety culture. So they can report without any, without it worrying about being disciplined from above, because it's all confidential to our safety group. And so, it's a different kind of reporting. It's not like a hotline.
Right.
But it's a reporting where you can go in and talk about issues, and we take it into try to make changes accordingly.
So how does that work? Tell me about it, because that's a new system. It's
Yeah,
a
it
new
just
thing.
went in place. Well, what we're trying to develop here is a safety culture where people report things instead of letting them go on and then, you know, having some kind of accident or some kind of event. And so what safety systems do, it's kind of like the airline where you're, you know, the airlines, you can fly, I think, for 19,000 miles or hours or days or years or something like that today without really ever experiencing an accident.
Right.
Part of the reason is you've got a reporting system that talks about systems. And when you report, it's not punitive. You know, you don't report that the pilot, you know, slept halfway while the plane was on, you know, on automatic. He slept for 2 hours, you know.
Right.
You could report that without people coming back and saying, well, you know, he reported this and it's against me and I don't like it, I'm gonna punish him. So they don't know anything, who reports or what it is. But it's what we call, you know, trying to encourage reporting to where we don't get into situations that become like, perhaps like they are in the Southwest, where you've got several employees and perhaps the management that's at crossways.
So
They would be able to be interviewed or call in and talk to someone and tell exactly what the difficulties are, and we would look into it then without naming names, and there would be, all the reporting would be confidential and not open to public records. So an employee would truly be guarded against what they could do, so, and we invite that.
So how would you respond to an employee who may say, well, if I talk to somebody, they're gonna know who I am, and they're gonna go talk to them and tell them I did it anyway?
Well, we would just tell them we have, you know, this new system that they can report, and the records are sealed, and they cannot, by law, by statute, you know, report who reported the situation. It's brand new. Nobody's ever done it in child safety before, in a child molestation agency or in a department.
So what prompted the law? What prompted your concern to start the law?
Trying to get people to report to where we can stop having accidents, you know, where we can report that, you know, that maybe people are working overtime, they've got too many caseloads without it being punitive towards them, that we don't have enough employees, that we have someone that's stressing the system out, all of those things. It was mostly dealt with from, you know, trying to prevent accidents that happen.
Okay. So, real briefly, just to make sure we cover both things, let's kind of switch gears for a second and talk about Clay Crook's arrest. Now, one of the largest complaints, I guess, and again, I'm gonna say large because it's a small percentage of employees we talk to. Their concern was that once he was arrested, he returned to work the next day. And, you know, they felt like it was because of his position as Deputy RA that he was allowed to return to work, and from their perspective, nothing was ever done. And I just wanted to get your comment from you about, because I know he didn't go to court till June, it was postponed.
July.
In July, okay, right. So, what is the department's position on how they handle arrest and I guess illegal incidents like that on employees?
I think you take it by an individual basis in this case where it's a he said, she said. You know, you had 4 people complain about him. You know, it was certainly a lot of questions. I've reviewed the complaint, I've reviewed the incident, I've reviewed what he said. You know, it's very obvious to me that if this happened, that there's gonna be a smoking gun with the detection of the powder on his hands from the weapon. So it'll be a really good indicator of where we can understand whether he was truthful about the, you know, about discharging the weapon. The other thing I think is that, you know, people have a tendency to overreact sometimes when you're on private property. And because of fear and a lot of things, but I think there's enough about that incident that warrants us taking a very good look at it. And, you know, so we're doing that. We've had our IA people there. They've done a report.
report substantiated the allegations as far as, that allegations were made. And I think we've got, everybody's lawyered up on both sides, and so, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in July. But I didn't think, and I think that the decision made from the field is, with the type of situation it was, that certainly you didn't want to put him into a situation where he was, face to face with children. But you also didn't want to, on an allegation, you didn't want to remove him from his job. We could have removed him and took him home, but he would have been probably on paid leave, and we didn't think that was the best thing to do. But this is a very serious charge against Clay, and, and we're treating it that way. And I spent some time this morning, yesterday afternoon, reviewing everything about this. It's just going to be interesting to see how the trial comes out.
So when the employees say that they have concerns, and it was, I guess, from a caseworker, which is the main ones who have addressed it to me, they felt like it was kind of a double standard because, they've been asked and been told to remove children from families who have been convicted of crimes and weren't illegal, and then they felt like it was kind of the opposite when it came to somebody like an employee. Is it a double standard, and if not?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
If it's been there, it's not our practice to do that. I mean, our first thing is to get these kids safe. If that means removing them, doesn't matter who their parents are. If they're in danger, then we're gonna get the kids out, and then we'll make decisions after that. But I think this warrants us taking a very good look at that region down there, and I've already instructed Bonnie Homrick, who's the program director here, that we're gonna do that.
So what would you reference, taking a look at the region, what exactly, what are your steps, kind of what is your
I
plan?
kind of think you've got to go down and talk to the employees, and you've got to get into one-on-one situation where they don't feel like there's some kind of repercussion. And, be sure they feel safe and reported, and there won't be punitive against them for doing it. So that's what we'll follow.
So have you guys kind of discussed like a timeline of how you would?
Soon. Yeah. Probably much quicker than before this trial.
So is it gonna be, cause it's an 11-county region, is it gonna be a visit to all 11 counties or just a few of them?
No, we'll just visit probably one location, but we'll invite our people to come into that location.
Okay. So how are you gonna, I guess, for lack of a better word, send the invite, I guess, to all of them?
We'll probably
Email.
it to them, yeah.
Isn't that how you communicate with everybody nowadays?
It's
right?
just about it. I mean, if you don't get in trouble.
Email and text.
Yeah, save trees.
So if you guys discover that there even is I guess a concern that there may be a problem, what would be your next action?
But we fix it. I mean, we do whatever it took to get the region back to going. I mean, if we've got employees that are disenfranchised with the work and there's some validity to it, and we'll make changes that will stop that. If we've got some employees that are just unhappy and because they can't be happy in what they're doing, we'll have to make changes there too.
Does it, I guess, in a bigger picture, is it a concern that there is such a low percentage of employees who take the exit surveys that say they'll work for the department again? Is it a concern of yours?
It hadn't come to my attention that there's a low number. I don't know how they compare with other regions.
My understanding is, not to interject, but
That's okay.
my understanding is that they started the exit survey process and it wasn't, they needed to refine it, so
So you don't have an exit survey?
And so they tried it, they did that, and then I think they're retooling it so that they can get information that's more helpful for the department at large.
For Southwest or
For the whole state. is-
Yeah, I think big, like, Department of Human Resources is,
Yeah.
I think statewide.
So they rolled out kind of like a pilot, and they didn't like
Not
that.
us, but you're talking about HR.
DOHR,
Yeah.
right?
But RHR has done,
Yeah.
yes. They didn't find that it worked well, so they're trying to redo it.
Use big HR or us.
I know that the Tennessee Department of Children's Services has done some surveys that Terrence and Kenya have worked on. She did an Open Records Act request for that data, and we sent it to her. And-
Yeah, there was.
but-
Small amount.
Well, and it may have been just, like he said, it may have just been the one, and I think I've got it somewhere. It may have just been the one, before they stopped doing them, because we weren't aware of the pilot project, and so
Yeah.
you're gonna miss some, and of course it's optional too, you know, they don't have to take it.
It's kind of been my experience, if you've got something to say leaving, you usually say it.
You say something.
Yeah, I mean, but, you know, if they're thinking about reemployment or something, sometimes you're guarded about what you do. And I think that's why this reporting system that we've made up now is going to be helpful.
So when is the reporting system gonna affect, or is it up and running?
It's not in.
I guess it's July, I mean, the law goes into effect July 1st, I guess, with the.
So it'd be July first
Mhm.
when the funding and the law comes, right?
Other sides of it becomes available. So we'll be ready to go with it when it gets, when it gets time, we'll be ready to implement it.
What kind of, and cause I know that since you became commissioner, you've implemented a lot of different things, which has helped the department, tremendously on the CPS side, that I'm at least aware of. And what kind of things, if any, has the department implemented or will implement, to kind of help employee morale? Cause it is a stressful environment.
You know, we did a survey of employees when I first got here, and I think that's available.
Yeah,
We're
that's
gonna be
another
doing another one to be sure that we're moving in the right direction. But some of the things we've done is just paid attention more to the staff that's in the field. You know, we took the flip-top phones and made them history. We've deployed 2,500 tablets, which is a phenomenal number. You know, we've been called from Texas and New York and California in the last week about implementing those tablets. So you're gonna be able to give some of the people their lives back. I mean, when we did the pilot on whether we'd use a tablet or an iPad, the review we had was almost emotional with the FSWs, because they would be able to use their time more productively in courts. They'd be able to report, they'd be able to access reports. And so all those are deployed. They were deployed March the 1st. They're all up and running, and people are using them. And I think it's going to change the lives of the workers out in the field. We've also been concentrating here on trying to how do you make this a better job? Because there's not a lot of money
Right.
to be spread around. So we've been trying to concentrate on how we can make a better job. And we've talked more about telecommuting to work and trying to get away from the old-fashioned way of doing human services, and the fact that you would all gather in an office every morning and everybody sit down to their computers. But you know, most of the time, I think people that are in the field for us can work, you know, out of their homes. And so it's.
Oh, and a lot of them, particularly on the JJ side, do.
A lot of them do.
Yeah, cause
But-
they travel a lot.
But there's also supervisors that don't feel comfortable unless they've got you huddled around every morning talking to you or
Right.
something. So you got a culture change that has to be made there. And I think we're in the process of it. I think that's helped morale. It'll be easy to, I mean, it'll be easy to see after we do this next survey whether we've made any progress or not, but I believe we have. We've created an awards situation. We've trained people better. We've created a TBI training academy for CPS workers. We've partnered with Vanderbilt for new assessment training. And our people within the next 18 months will all complete that. We can't get everybody in at the same time because we got to have somebody.
You gotta have somebody working.
Yeah, but I think training is a huge issue, you know, when you talk about morale, is if someone trying to, do things, but if you've got the latest technology, if you can access it, if you answer your phone, you know, that's been an important issue for us. People working out there in the field need backup. And, you know, if you're out there on the edge and you need to be able to call somebody and get them if you need them. So, I mean, we put emphasis on that. I answer my phone here, and I expect everybody to answer their phone, whether they're working or not working.
So with the environment that they're already in, with walking into some of these homes and some of these conditions, on, I guess, the flip side of helping employees, you know, I know you got the EAP. Is there anything else that you either have established or will work on to help kind of the emotional side of dealing with what they see and what they do?
Well, we're looking at how we kind of relieve those people, how we look at ways where we can make that job better, paying more, and not move people up the ladder just because to get them more money and keep them. You know, good FSWs are difficult to find, and so if there's some way that we can keep them in that position, we're gonna try to do it. I mean, that's, you know, I've been here, I think, 2 years this month, and next month, full time. Some of those things take a long time. You know, I was very pleased at last 2 weeks ago. We were 2 weeks ago today, we were recognized in Washington as, by Child Help America. You got that press release?
Yeah, good.
You know, we received a national award from Child Help, which is the oldest not-for-profit in America, run by Sarah O'Meara, and she's an 8-time Nobel Peace Prize winner. And we were delighted to receive that award, and I think that helps employees. We're traveling around now and being sure that each region gets a copy of that, validating the work they're doing, and thanking the employees for it. You know, a lot of this is not rocket science. Just treat people right. I mean, you know what? We want to demand that people get treated right. And it's just like the issues that you're dealing with down there. People don't feel right. It festers in a million different ways. So, you know, and like I say, I expect the leadership to solve that problem, not someone. You can't solve it from the bottom. It has to be solved from the top.
I know you're running out of time. One more question.
I'm good on that.
Okay. When staff do things such as permanency plans, or the CFTM notes, there's kind of two major sides. There's the strength side and the weaknesses, or what you need to improve, however it's worded, the needs. And it's kind of the same similar setup for employee evaluations, where you have the strengths and what they need to improve on.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen employee evaluations from at least 3 different supervisors in that region that will have what they need to improve on, but apparently for some reason these employees either don't get strengths or they don't get something said good about them. And, you know, as you know, we were always trained that there's something good in everybody. How important do you think it is for a supervisor to find something good to write on an employee evaluation?
I think it's very important, and I think the governor's new evaluation system is being implemented, which will allow for performance pay. Now, you're gonna have to, you know, score very well to do that. But I think that there's, you know, a great deal of people, if you don't reward them better than just giving everybody the same pay all the time, that's the worst possible evaluation you could have. Because everybody doesn't perform the same. Everybody don't have the same skills, and they don't have the same intellect. So if you don't reward good people for doing good work, you're gonna lose them. And
Excuse me.
you're gonna it's not gonna be where you wanna go. You know, no one goes into this to make money.
Right.
But there's also nothing wrong with it
That's true.
because it's probably the toughest job you know, and we've got a saying here that if you want to come to work for the department, just raise your hand and swear an oath of poverty.
And you'll ignore
And
it.
join us. It's 24/7. You know, I learned when I was just, you know, really young. My sister was in human services, which dealt with children's services at that time. But she couldn't get the day done. I mean, and she's been gone from that for 20-something years, and she still has connections with these families. And she had to break in the office on Friday night and Saturday in order to get her work completed because she was out in the field all day.
Right.
And, you know, she didn't break in, but she raised the window, left it unlocked, and put it in there. But I mean, it was the only alternative. There wasn't any emails or cell phones.
There wasn't any, each one had a key or anything like that, right?
Well, they didn't, you know, there was always a controversy about working overtime. They'd instruct you not to work overtime, but then they'd instruct you to get your work done.
Exactly.
So you didn't have any choice.
Had to do what you had to do.
That's right.
Does the governor's new system, does it require, entries into both? Because I know like sometimes, TFAX will require you to put something in
Yeah.
each field.
Could we give her an example from HR? I don't know, we could just redact the names. It would be a good,
Sure, I'll try to find them.
yeah, we'd be glad to send it to you.
Okay.
It's a new form, and it's a new way of evaluating, and it, you know, it doesn't really concentrate on the negative, it concentrates on the positive. And,
So they would almost have to put something good.
yeah, and we do evaluations more than we've ever done for years. You used to, you did a yearly
What's
evaluation.
that?
Now what is it, 4 times?
4 times a year.
Four times a year,
Quarterly.
so I mean, we're not only saying this are your objectives that we're gonna do next year, but we're gonna follow along to where if you're not
Every quarter.
on the right track, you know, we can guide you back on to where you can be successful. So everybody's excited about it, and we think it'll work.
Well, and it seems like it's set up in that same kind of internet, thing to where, you know, you almost, whether you want to or not, you have to put something positive about employees in the system.
Right.
Which would increase morale, because
Yeah,
at least they'd be
absolutely.
forced to say something.
Yeah, and they're fair.
Yeah.
And they're not, you know, there's office politics that goes on everywhere, so we want to be sure that the office politics doesn't get involved. And it's a tremendous load to evaluate people 3 or 4 times a year, so we put a lot of emphasis on it.
Especially when you got, what, 2,000 caseworkers or something?
Yeah, 2,300 of them.
So how does it eliminate the office politics? How does it eliminate the favoritism?
You know, I don't know whether you can ever do that.
Right.
You know, as long as people are human, they're gonna be a discrepancy. We just have to try to keep it possibly as low as we can. I think these evaluations will help that. You know, if you've got some specific goals you're gonna meet, if you don't meet them, it's gonna be obvious to everybody. If you do meet them, it's gonna be obvious to people.
So it seems like it kind of works like a firm plan. Here's your problem,
is.
here's the steps you get to, you know, so
Exactly
you
right.
can verify whether they did it or not,
That's
you know.
exactly right.
Instead of saying, well, you're a bad employee.
Yeah, no, you don't wanna say that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, part of failure of a bad employee is leadership. It's leadership. Everybody can't be, you know, perfect, but, you can be a lot better if you know how to manage people. They can do better too.
You know, and, you know, the department does such a valuable work, you know, and oftentimes the employee, which is one of the reasons we wanted to bring the complaints, you know, to attention, whether they were validated or not, because, you know, they're the ones doing the work, they're the ones on the front lines.
Amelia,
Thank you.
I mean,
You're-
I don't mean
it's
to cut you
10:30.
off. I want to be clear. Do you have specific complaints that you're going to put in your story coming up?
We
Is
don't-
it-
well,
or
we
is
don't
it just
have
what
any-
you've?
It's what we've
intimated?
already run.
Okay, all right.
There's nothing new. It's
Okay.
the same things about the retaliation and
Okay.
not getting time off, that sort of thing.
So your story will repeat what was in there the last time?
It's not gonna, no, it's gonna focus more on, you know, just, that we're not gonna get into the specifics of what the caseworkers have said or anything. We haven't talked and done any more interviews. We told the folks who complained that, you know, we would talk to the commissioner after we got the interview and, you know, it's kind of a, okay, here's what we said and here's what we're gonna do. But it's more of his side, you know, okay, you know, they've complained about working conditions and here's what we're doing to fix it. And it might highlight some of them who said, you know, that, it may have a statement about, you know, employees complained about not being told anything good, you know, and then it's gonna have his statement. It's gonna be focused more on his interview than it will be them.
I just want to make sure he's responding to
Yes.
what you're.
Yeah,
I-
yeah.
The other thing is you need to invite them to call. I mean, they can call me through the state line, we don't have any idea, just call them and I'll be glad to talk to them. If they wanna tell me who they are or don't want to, it's good. But I can't get to problems unless I know about them, and
Right.
it's very difficult to get through the third part of it.
It's true.
I actually have a question,
Sure.
if you don't mind. If you're guaranteeing anonymity for lack of a better word, the whistleblowers, how do you guarantee that and still reprimand a superior for a specific act without bringing up a specific act, and then still guarantee anonymity?
Well, I think that'll be very obvious. I'm not worried about, you don't have to name people when you
Sure.
make complaints. They all work, those supervisors work for me. They don't have the same protections as the AFSWs. If
Sure.
I'm displeased with them for any reason, I can discharge them. So
Okay.
they don't have the civil service protection.
Okay.
Yeah, the employees kind of do, the supervisors. don't.
Yeah. Their executive level, I can deal with them without any reason to discharge them.
Will there be any, sorry, just the last one, will there be any incentive to blow the whistle for the employee, other
Well, I
than
would
just a
hope
more
that-
fair
yeah,
workplace?
I hope that they would, because, if you want to improve
Okay.
the place, you want them to
Sure.
report what's wrong.
So, in the 2 years you've been commissioner, what is your overall feel of the direction the department is headed, and maybe some things that when you took office you wanted to do and hadn't done yet, or hadn't been able to? And I'm not gonna say hadn't done, but hadn't been able to, because there's red tape and everything.
Well, I really can't complain. The governor has been cooperative with the budget. We've been able to get some things. I mean, the iPads cost tablets cost almost $1 million. You don't do that. We've been to court to get a change in the Doe lawsuit where we put a lot of kids and they'd be safe. That's the first change since 1986. I think we've created a new relationship out there with providers that are handling a lot of these kids. And we've trained our people better, and we're trying to be more transparent with what we do. So we feel like we've accomplished a lot in a short length of time, but, I never kid myself. This is human work, and I've got 4,300 employees out there, and probably somebody's making a mistake right now. And so we just try to hold those down as much as we can. And this is it's very intense. There's a lot of high pressure on people. And there's a tendency to be unhappy if someone is not having a good day.
Is there anything else, that maybe from the positive level that you guys have done or implemented that either my or anybody in the media doesn't know about?
We're very proud of the fact that we've been, for a number of years, I think for 4 or 5 years, we've been the #1 agency in the country as far as permanency is concerned. Getting kids to permanency. We're very proud of the legal system we have here. We have, additionally, we've got 2 new lawyers that are coming on board that leaves us. I think we've got 92, and no other state has that. When COA came here, they were amazed at how many nurses and how many attorneys we had to help kids. And, no one has that. We build a child death review process. If somebody happens, it's completely transparent. It's on the website that you can go to. There's a fatality, man. It's called state-of-the-art by the court system. The other thing, and I think the most important thing we've done, is that in 15 years, they have been able to accomplish 68 maintenance items on the Brian A. lawsuit. In 16 years, we've accomplished more than half of that in 18 months. So we are looking, hopefully, to be out of the long-standing Brian A. lawsuit that's been going on since 1999. We're hoping to be out of that at the end of this year. Then we'll go on a year of maintenance, and we'll be able to direct about $2 million to kids instead of courts. Don't
Yeah,
print
'cause
that, please.
Well, yeah, 'cause you
This is the-
gotta say, it goes back to the emails and the attorney fees and,
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what it cost us to store emails on potential lawsuits that we have. Almost $1 million a year.
For email.
For just to
Just
store
electronic
emails
means.
that might be called into question on a lawsuit. One department is going to government, now there's 22 departments.
Right.
Now, all of them might not have the problems we do. I mean, that's a lot of taxpayer dollars.
Litigation holds, that's what it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and, yeah, you're right, it is a lot of taxpayer dollars that could be used for other
That's
things.
absolutely right. But we, you know, we've also very proud that I think we fixed the T-tax system. The
Oh, that
court
was a-
approved it at
was
the
a
last
mess,
meeting,
wasn't
and
it?
it used to make the press regularly. Gotta go. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we're good, that's okay. I think we hit everything that we needed,
Yeah, and if
and I
there's
knew you were
something
on the
else, you
top
can
line.
call back.
Well, I do appreciate you squeezing us in.
Glad to do it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I'm glad we got to meet more than passing in the hall.
Yeah. Well, tell Shaw that we met again.
I will do it. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Very
Nice to
much.
meet you. And if there's anything else, call back.